With the gravel market booming and the choice of spec available growing every day, it's easy to adapt your bike setup to suit whatever you want to do with it. Whether you want to be an endurance racer, a multi-day bike packer, or a casual bridleway weekender, you can swap out parts and adapt your setup for different terrain and seasons. We at BikeRadar love going on gravel adventures, and so without further ado, we're going to run through our top 5 tips for setting up your gravel bike. As always, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the little bell icon so that every time we upload a video, you get a notification. Though many of us are riding gravel on what are essentially standard 700C road wheels, there are an increasing number of gravel-specific wheel sets on the market, which typically have wider rims to provide better support for wider gravel tyres. 650B wheels, which are equivalent to 27.5-inch mountain bike wheels, let you fit even wider tyres into your frame with greater volume. That adds comfort to the ride as well as increasing grip on off-road terrain. For a faster ride on road and light gravel, you'll probably want to stick to 700C wheels with narrower tyres. But if you're planning to head for more difficult terrain, you may appreciate the grip and cushioning offered by wider tyres on 650B, although that will be at the expense of speed on tarmac. If your gravel bike has the clearance, a set of each wheel size would give you the best of both worlds, letting you swap between them depending on what you're planning on riding. No worries if it doesn't, you can always move on to our next tip. Changing the tyres on a gravel bike can make a huge difference to your riding, either significantly improving its ability off-road or adding speed on the tarmac. Because gravel bikes are used across such a variety of terrain, it's one area where you can easily change how your bike performs. 2 important things to keep in mind when you're buying a tyre are tread pattern and width. If off-road grip and stability are important on your planned rides, look for wider tyres with a more aggressive tread pattern like the Maxxis Rambler or WTB Resolute. However, if you're more likely to be riding on the road or hard-packed gravel, then a narrower, slicker tyre like the Erie Research Tenacity will likely be more suitable. Once you've chosen your tyre, it's worth taking time to experiment with tyre pressure. Because gravel bikes are spec'd with larger tyres, you can drop your tyre pressure much more than normal, giving you better traction, lower rolling resistance, and a more comfortable ride. It's worth experimenting with different levels to see what works for your tyre choice and where you ride. If it's too high, you'll get bounced around, while too low may result in slow handling and sluggish pedalling. Going tubeless is a great upgrade too. You'll get less flats and be able to run even lower pressures with better traction. When choosing gearing for your bike, one question you'll eventually ask is whether you want a double chainring on the front or a single one. 1x setups have migrated from the mountain bike world, with one chainring at the front and a large 11, 12 or even 13 speed cassette at the back. There are lots of advantages to moving to a 1x system. You save weight by dispensing with the front derailleur, plus there's less to go wrong. A single ring setup means you can access all gears sequentially too, rather than needing to swap chainrings to access your higher or lower ranges. They are suited to more gnarly off-road riding, with controls to keep the chain in place when you're riding over bumpy ground, and more space to let you ride wider tyres. Double chainrings, however, will be more familiar to road riders, as they reflect gearing on traditional road bikes. 2x setups allow for smaller steps between gears, and they also generally have higher gear ratios for speedier riding. Deciding on a single ring or double ring setup depends on the riding you're planning. If you're mainly wanting to ride fast on smoother terrain, a double ring chain set could give you a few more high-end ratios, while if you're looking to tackle harder terrain, you may appreciate the chain retention benefits and simpler shifting of a single ring. In general, gravel bike geometry is less aggressive compared to road bikes, with a more relaxed head angle, lower bottom bracket and longer wheelbase. This results in a comfortable riding position and stabler handling. You can tweak your bike's geometry to match your style of gravel riding. If you're expecting to do long days on off-camber technical trails, you can swap out your bars for flared handlebars, which are wider in the drops than at the tops. That means you've got a bit more control when descending or riding hard off-road. If you're expecting to ride lots of technical or steep descents, lifting up the bars will help you ride in the drops for extra control without giving your back as much of a hard time. You'll want a comfortable saddle too. A longer saddle allows you to shift your weight around to tackle obstacles and descents. If you have a lot of steep climbs in your area, nudging the saddle slightly forwards on the rails will help push weight over the front end and stop you wheeling all over the place. It's one of the most iconic features of the gravel bike, a frame that lets you bolt and attach bags all over. How many bags you choose to have is, of course, depending on what riding you're going to do. Rather than a traditional rack and panniers, most gravel riders will use bike packing bags. These fit to the bike using mounts and straps, meaning the overall setup can be more lightweight and doesn't change the handling of the bike as much as using rack mounted panniers. A full setup starts with a saddle pack and handlebar roll, and includes a frame bag, fork mounted bags and even top tube bags to maximise the capacity of the bike. It's generally a good idea to keep heavy items in your frame bag to keep the centre of gravity low, and to put things you're going to need frequently in your handlebar bag where they can be accessed quickly. The price tag for a full bike bag setup can be quite off-putting as a starter gravel rider, but luckily there are loads of handy guides online to making your own bags if you're good with a needle and thread. And you can always invest in a few dry bags and lots of bungee cords until you are sure the gravel life is the life for you. How do you set up your gravel bike? What adventures are you taking your bike on? As always, let us know in the comments. Don't forget also to like and subscribe and click that little bell icon so that every time we upload a video, you get a notification.